Okay, do you see anything wrong with this picture? This ramp right here, I've set up 2 ramps and I drove off the end of it right here. So now this ramp is stuck under there and I've got a jack. You can barely see it right here. We'll have to take a look at that. Alright, here's the jack, and I've got it on this cross member here. That basically holds everything together. That cross member goes clear over there to that A-arm right there, and over here, this A-arm. And I've got a piece of cedar in here. Cedar, piece of square cedar. So now I got to take the jack, leave it there, and pull the ramp out. Now I have to do the same on the other side. One thing I found useful is to have 2 patio blocks under there. That works out just fine. Now we gotta let the jack down. See if I can get the jack out. I decided to put a jack stand under there and then change the oil this way. One thing about these jack stands right there, once you get them to the right spot, you have to lift up on that black part. The black part is right at the top there. But once you lift that up, it may not be tight against your chassis. I've got it hooked onto the rocker panels, or also part of the chassis since it's a unibody. But so, I mean, there's about maybe an inch gap in there, but I'm going to let it down anyway. This is a Chrysler 200, 2013, and when I said that it had a unibody, basically the subframe up front here contains all the engine components, the chassis components like the A-arms, struts, stuff like that. And then in the back, on a unibody, they might have some sort of a subframe back there. In any case, these unibodies are cheaply made, stamped out. That's it. Usually I put my oil that I drain out of my car or truck or whatever, put them in these two things, because the way this works is you put the oil in there, and most cars hold about 4 or 5 quarts. But you don't want to fill it clear full, because then you'll have trouble getting it out without spilling it. So I use 2 of them, and also I put a lid on both of them. That way I can pour the oil out. I don't have to spill it all over and get it all over myself. Okay, I've got this set up here, and got the oil draining out. I already partially filled another container full of oil, and I've got everything on this big bucket right here, 5-gallon bucket. Then when it's finished draining, I'm going to change the filter. Okay, here's the filter. You have to take this off first. Now I have to get a wrench. Now this takes 24 millimeter. Whenever I get away from my toolbox very far, I got 3 sockets lined up there that may be what I need, and fortunately if you bring 4 of them, 1 of them will work. Okay, it's the filter. So now you just take this, snap it in. Then you put this back in. Plastic threads, make sure you don't screw it up. Now don't tighten it too tight. I made 2 marks on here that line up, because getting this thing back together is sometimes hard. So you put this over here somehow and then lock it like that. Now you got to put the oil in. I forgot about that. Got to put the oil in right here. This car has over 150,000 miles, so I'm going to put in 20 W50, but it's up to you what you want to put in. The manufacturer is going to recommend a certain weight, but it's ultimately up to you. Because an older car, the rings have worn in and the cylinders are wore. That's why I go with something a little bit heavier. The bearings, all the crankshaft, everything is wore out. If you're going to sell a car, what I would recommend is that you change the oil, because people that want to buy something, they may check the oil to see if the oil is good. If they see that you haven't maintained it, maybe they won't buy it. So, you know, if you're selling it at a private sale or an auction or something like that, you might think about that. Okay, here's another thing, is that you can take your cans of oil, put them in the house overnight. That way when you come out the next day, it'll be flowing a lot better, because right now it's about 25 to 35 degrees out and the oil is going to flow very slowly. Usually it takes about 4 or 5 quarts. I like having these big funnels because I'm cheap and I like to get my money's worth, so I set the can of oil like that so it'll drain out. Also, while you're out here, you should check the fluids. Right now I'm going to check the brake fluid. Another thing on this brake fluid is if this rubber seal right here is out instead of in like this, if it's out, if it's poking out, poke it back in. And then check and put some more brake fluid in if you need it. And then clean up the oil that you dropped on here. You might have to get something to clean it off. And then put the top back on. Now if you're doing this for someone and you're doing a job for them and changing their oil, it'd be a good idea to just take some soap and a spray bottle of like Fantastic or something like that, and spray and clean the whole engine. Or you can use engine cleaner and use a hose. Check the power steering fluid. This particular car, it's right here. Don't fill it clear to the top. Don't fill anything clear to the top. Brake fluid and the power steering fluid. Also check the radiator fluid. Antifreeze. I put in antifreeze and mix it with a little water. I don't use very much water.